3, 2,
I don't even know what that means.
1.
We just go for it.
Yeah, we just go right into it like this.
Okay.
What's up, buddy?
Joe, welcome back
welcome
to the All Gains podcast.
It's been a few weeks.
Been a few years, man. Been a few years.
Hope everybody doing good, getting that knowledge.
Yeah.
Every day.
Every day.
That's what I want. That's what I want to hear.
Here's a disclaimer. So this topic is going to be about hypergamy. And what is hypergamy? It is basically, I think if you go on the internet and you search up this word hypergamy, or you could say hypergamy, but I think it's pronounced hypergamy. Yeah. I think the Google definition is marry up. I think that's it.
Marry up.
Yeah,
just
like
marry up.
Like a specific class.
Like in like a girl or woman will marry to a higher class man that she perceives as herself. So, but I think, and I actually found this term about a year ago, and I didn't know what it was, just like everybody else I know had no idea this word ever existed. I got it from a guy named Rollo Tomasi, and so I did not come up with this word. And when I found out about this word, I wanted to research, not research, but I wanted to know what it was. I want to know why it was, I guess. Cool. So this is basically talking about what this concept is and the basis around it and what's going on and how it relates to the world around us today. So basically, it's more of women's sexual strategy than men's. It goes like this. Women's sexual strategy falls into two categories. It's called alpha fucks and beta bucks. Or if you want to go into a more PG term of it, it's alpha seed and beta need. So it's basically the equivalent of saying a woman will or have sex with the guy in the spring break, that hot guy that's like James Bond, and he's got everything, he's got the 6-pack abs and that tall guy, and they'll go home and they'll sleep with their husband, which is the other side of hypergamy, which is basically like beta bucks, which is basically the guy that gives her the comfort and supplies her with like shelter and all the love income finances, all that stuff, and all that stuff. So it comes into those two terms, and we're seeing, as society has been changing over the years, we've seen a change in this term. For example, back in the 1950s, and I'm just saying this as an example. Women, right? I guess the nostalgic term would be women just kind of cooking right at home, and the husband comes home, honey, I'm home. And it's kind women were not, I guess back then things have changed because they were kind of more in the submissive role, staying at home, right, cooking. Even before the 50s, just
right. They were not encouraged either, to do back then. If you were more like a liberal woman, they'll be like, "What's wrong with her?"
Yeah, like why is she not? Yeah,
she can never find a man to marry. So,
but as times have changed, women are now obviously more. And I'm not saying this is a bad thing or anything, so don't get it wrong. I'm just pointing out that women over the last 60 years have become more into like the workforce, and they're like kind of a lot of the women are taking over the house basically, and they're like, I don't want to say giving them any power or anything like that, but I'm saying like they have more control over their own lives than they ever did, and we're seeing what happens when that happens.
Well, that is power. If they have more control of their own lives, most likely they have power to control others as well.
And we're seeing how that affects men.
Of course. But at the same time, there's also a decline in men having power over themselves too. That's why like hypergamy is working so well right now, because a lot of men seem to be more like distracted or not really focusing on the right things. So it's they're complementing each other, because hypergamy will not work if all men were, doing what they're supposed to do.
Well, the thing
it'll be a lot easier for women to choose now men than ever, but since there's so many that are distracted or doing different things, now they have to select a select few that are trying to do their best or, motivated enough.
That's right. The thing about women's hypergamy is that hypergamy never seeks its own level. It always seeks above. Mm-hmm. So it goes like this. Women don't want to have sex with a guy they view as less attractive than them, whether that be physical or economical, any of those things. Women always aim higher. Their brains are always trying to be with men that are higher of value than they perceive themselves as.
Well, definitely, and depends on the age gap as well. I feel like a lot of the younger girls go for more of a physical, I guess upgrade you can call that. For them, and then the older woman seems to go for more of a financial stability upgrade. So Depends on every stage, I think, too. You know?
I think hypergamy has changed because as like women have more possibility to do things, right? Like the strong independent woman theme is now more encouraged than ever, right?
Oh,
we see it in our social media, we see it on TV, in commercials. You see it everywhere once you really look at it. Like those commercials where men are kind of like seen as buffoons, or like the TV shows like The Simpsons or Family Guy, where the guy is just some idiot and the girl kind of, they're funny, but that's all they are. Right? You don't take them seriously. And the women usually run the house, where they come up with the good ideas, and they're the smart ones, right? Yeah. So men are kind of portrayed as stupid right now. Even in commercials, like they're kind of perceived as jackasses who don't know what they want, right? So as the strong independent woman is it's rising. That basically, the message seems to be going down with men. And if women are being taught that, that means they don't really need, like if they're making enough money, that means they don't need the money of a man anymore, right? That's kind of the thing that's being encouraged. Which means when it comes back to hypergamy, it means they don't need the beta buck side of hypergamy anymore. And what does that mean? It means the alpha fuck side takes more of a role. So it's easier now for a woman to do things now more than ever, especially like with other men. Like men, they perceive as like that hot guy at the party that they can be with. It's not to say that all women are cheaters or something like that. That's not the point.
No, they just now follow more their natural response to these guys now, and they can follow it because they have the income, and now they don't really listen to other people's opinion, you know. So it's more of an encouragement. So they'll do it. All their friends do it, you know. Now it's like everybody's into this. It's a culture thing, you know. It's like the normal thing. Like I hear it all the time. Like group of girls just talking about, you know, how they slept with this guy and this other guy, and they're all proud about it, and they're like, you know, they share their experiences, and that's just how it is, you know. You can't.
They like to think, yeah. Well, we have this thing that women are so innocent and they don't like sex as much as us, but that's not true. Girls talk as much as us, if not more, especially when they're with their girlfriends.
They're more into the thrill and the story. Like, we're more physical. Like, okay, we want the sex just for the physical, like, pleasures. Like, they do it too, of course, but it's more of, like, the story of who they fuck. Yeah. You know, that's the main thing. Like, oh, they're not gonna, like, just fuck a random guy just for the physical. They want to fuck the president, or they want to fuck somebody important, you know. Yeah,
it's basically not always who you are a lot. It's about what you are. What you are in their story, in their mind. Because the mind is the most powerful tool that a woman has, right? So if she thinks of you as this alpha character, then she'll view you as such. But if she views you as a wimp, then you can tell that by her behaviors towards you.
Oh, definitely. So you can help her think that way as well.
Your own behaviors can, in a way, dictate hers. Because if you do not see yourself as a high-value man, then she will not see you as a high-value man.
But the thing is as well that we're not being encouraged to think that way, to be a high-value man, you know.
No, we're not.
There's no commercials or anything encourage strong, independent men. That sounds like silly to other people. You know, if you walk around and you're like, oh, I'm a strong, independent man, they'll be like, man, get your ass out of here. You know, they're like, come on now.
Get back to work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, they don't encourage that. So how will people know that if they don't research or they don't have that information right there? That's, I think, like, the main problem, that the main, you know, the population in whole are not learning this. Only a certain few.
Exactly. I don't think people are. It's hard to see stuff like this, but when you do see it, you believe it. Like, when I first,
because somehow it feels like in your subconscious you know about this. You know, like, it just makes sense. People want the better car. People want the better house. Why would women not want the best man? And they will manipulate through the system to get it. Like, it just makes sense. Just like we would want the best woman, but we know we don't have that, you know, same hypergamy as women do. So we go for what we can. You know, that's kind of like the abundance mentality we were talking about, you know, before. So it's kind of like it just works like that, you know.
The interesting thing is that guys will vet a car more than they'll vet their woman, right?
Some guys do.
Like, some guys at least.
Some guys go crazy for their woman, and then
or they get that one-itis, and they think
like
it's
everybody has their own investments towards something, you know.
Yeah, they think
people
it's their soulmate.
Go towards fitness, you know, more than their woman. People go for the cars. There's always something that usually people invest more.
Yeah, we always
or nothing at all. You
know? From what I've seen, from everything I've seen in person, I can think that this term is like something real, something I've like noticed around me,
Of course.
and that I notice, I notice how it affects people around me, friends, family. Like I see the patterns, what do you think
Once
about
you see, oh, sorry.
Oh.
No,
No, I was gonna comment that once you see that, once you learn the term and you kind of see it, it's kind of everywhere. Like you can see it in the movies, you can see it like in the books, you can see it in the news. It's just that it's like it's clouded. But once you get that knowledge, you seem to know like, oh, this is what this means. So you kind of have a more understanding of other things going on in your life just because you know this information.
Absolutely.
It just kind of makes sense.
I feel like it's hard. I feel like it's a lot harder for like men to really know like where our place is, because I feel like trying to figure out being a man is very hush hush, in a sense where like that should be something that you should be talking to like with your father or something like that. You know what I mean?
Somebody, a mentor.
Like a mentor, someone that you look up to,
mm-hmm.
to figure out like this is how you be a man and stuff like that. And sometimes you don't. Sometimes people don't get that. People don't get the right person.
A lot of times.
Sometimes they get it, but they don't get it from the right person,
mm-hmm.
and they get bad advice, or they get something where it doesn't help them in that sense. And I feel like that's also an inclination to the decline of men like us.
From what you've seen, do you honestly think that this is a real thing, and does it make sense to you?
What, hypergamy?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I can see it in a lot of people, especially because especially when I work in like customer service
mm-hmm.
and like retails and stuff. The people that I work with, or the people that come in and I talk to, the stories that like I'll overhear, or I'll be delved into a conversation with, like they'll just randomly start talking about certain things, which then would lead to that. I can see it, and I can see it like especially like if like a woman comes into the store, and like I would be talking to her when I was working, and then she would come in with like her husband, and I'd be like, bro. Like, wow, okay.
That's how it is.
Well, yeah. I've seen women come into my job with different guys, and I've heard them talk to like their female friends about what they're doing, and like it's very interesting, the conversations that I overhear at my specific job. And I know I'm not alone. I think a lot of people ignore these kind of things, like, I guess, signs. When you really like study people's behaviors and observe, you'll find a lot more than you thought you knew. Right?
No, definitely. I mean, I had a coworker that she would talk about, I think her now husband, about their sexual relationships, about his upcomings in bed, like he will not last long. All the girls will make fun of them, and things like that. And I was there as well. I was listening to all this, and they just don't really care. They can talk about whatever. So, she married the guy still. So that's actually, I would say, hypergamy.
I have had a firsthand encounter for hypergamy. I'll share my experience so people can understand, because this actually happens a lot to people. Mm-hmm. And so I was seeing a girl, and she had a baby with this guy, the baby daddy, I guess you call it. And so she was trying to be with him and have him provide for her and her son.
Mm-hmm. Be a family.
Meanwhile, while he never knew I existed, she was coming to see me, and we were seeing each other. I'll put it that way, I guess. So while this guy who's the father of a child was paying the bills and stuff like that, and he had no idea a guy like me was out there hanging out with his girl. And I'm not saying I was right for this, okay? But while I was doing things with this girl, he had no idea. And what happened eventually was she told this guy that, in fact, it bothered her so much that she could not stop hanging out with me while with him. Mm. And one day she flat out told him the truth about me, and said, there's this guy that I've been, seeing, and I've been, seeing, and every time, this actually made me upset, because I felt bad for this guy, because what she told him was, while I hang out with you, I'm hanging out with this other guy, and every time I have sex with you, I think about him. And when she told me
that's a real nightmare.
That's a nightmare. And she told him this, and of course I think this guy just started crying and how could you do? How could this have happened? Just completely. He just had no idea that this would happen.
Right. He just lost the emotional.
I would say that's kind of an example of alpha fucks beta bucks, because while she was trying to patch things up with this guy, she would be trying to make it work, and he was giving her his all. He was giving her his full attention, everything she needed. He would always be there for her
and the baby, trying to get that family together.
Correct. But while he did all these things for her, she was still having fun with me separately, and he had no idea. At
that point in their relationship, I think that it was just too late. He just There's a point that, like, I would have expected that, seeing that like that, but. He doesn't, he doesn't think about it like that, but it gets to a point where if she sees you as a beta, like we said before, you're probably going to stay there. Yeah. It doesn't matter how much you try to work it out, and trying to be nice and trying to provide and everything. You can see by her attitude, because I bet they were not having the best conversations and going out like you guys, were hanging out and doing whatever you guys were
completely
doing.
Different.
Exactly. But I guess maybe he never got to experience that with, other partners, so he doesn't know the difference. So maybe for him that's normal, and the next thing you know, boom, you've been cheated on.
A lot of guys don't see it coming.
I don't love you. I think about somebody else while I'm having sexual intercourse. That's kind of like, They
don't see it coming.
That's a killer.
Well, this is a line that I did not create. So it goes like, women will break rules for alphas and make rules for a guy she perceives as beta.
Yeah, right. That's because the beta allows it.
He does allow it.
Yeah. I think we all can say here that we all have situations where, we're with a partner and they're trying to like make certain rules and we're just like, nah, and we just kind of like walk away. At least I have done that, where I know that there's like a red flag question or like trying to like rule something else, and I just kind of just move on with my life. Like, I would feel like if a person has a certain common sense, they will not allow that person to manipulate you in a bad way. And if you can see that clearly because you have that information, you have that knowledge, then you will avoid that and just move on with your life. But a lot of people don't know that.
Well, a lot of guys' emotions, a lot of guys' emotions get too deep, and
fears.
And then they start to fear rejection, so they try even harder. And what that does is it pushes her away, right? If they show that kind of
manipulates her, manipulates you even more. Because now she knows that she got you. If you allow her to take the rules, and then like you said, your story, that's what's gonna happen in the future.
And it happened to me, but it happens all the time.
That means that just because you get her pregnant, you have a family, you marry her, you're not safe from biology and natural.
You cannot escape
attraction. You cannot change that. People are gonna do what they're gonna do.
You cannot escape human nature.
I mean, you can prevent it by trying to be, the role model in your house, trying to like make sure everybody's alright, like being that stone for your family, and trying to be an interest in staying attractive, taking care of yourself, and her knowing that with her or without her, you're gonna move on with your life. Things like that, I feel like can't prevent that from happening. But still, you never know, because it's the right time and the right guy, she might just go for it, because that's hypergamy.
I think you need to demonstrate higher value when you think that you're being disrespected. You have to show that you'll be willing to walk away from a situation that does not benefit you. If you feel that your girl is disrespecting you, or it could be vice versa, if you feel like your man is disrespecting you, you should not feel like you have to stay. I see around me a lot of disrespect when it comes to like couples and stuff, especially people who are in exclusive long-term relationships, right? I see a lot of instances where people I know get disrespected by their significant other, and what that tells me is that they're, I guess I'll put it in a woman's terms, if she's disrespecting her man or someone that she should consider high value, her hypergamous filters are basically saying, you might not be the best I can do.
Or right? I already conquered you, so it's not
fun. You're not a challenge anymore. I've conquered you. And her hindbrain kind of thinks of him as kind of weaker. I'm not saying that she's going to like leave him or cheat on him or anything like that, but if her brain like unconsciously thinks of you as more of a beta, and I'm using it as like a mindset, so I'm not saying he's like a sheep or something.
She's definitely going to start acting a different way That's what you're trying to say. That she's gonna, of course, give you less time, less attention, less physical interactions.
Yeah. If a woman, basically, if a woman sees you as an alpha, I think, in my opinion, she respects you more. She'll go along with what you want to do more.
She'll trust you. She
will trust you. Ask, for any test out there, just ask your girlfriend if she trusts you with her life, or do something simple like when your girl wants to drive somewhere and you're going to go with her, ask her to take the wheel, like, hey, let me drive. And if she gets out immediately and says, okay, fine, you know that it's kind of like a small shit test and she respects you and she trusts you, right, to drive her car. But if you get the why, or why should I let you drive my car, or something like that, that's kind of says that she doesn't really trust you, right?
Even after a certain amount you guys been dating,
like months or years can go by.
That means
that's not good.
That's pretty bad.
Like, there are small little tests you can do to see if she truly values you as the man that you think you might be, or she wants you to
set up dates. You tell her the time. You tell her what day, and she still questions that, or she makes her own dates, and that means that she don't want to follow your schedule. Like she's trying to test you.
Like, sometimes if you try to make a date with a woman or something and she blows you off or she doesn't answer you, you should take that as she doesn't value she does not value you or your time that much to make a plan or a date, and you should move on.
And that's more common than ever now because,
they can.
They can, exactly, they can. And if anything, they feel more encouraged to do it and they don't really care.
Yeah.
To explain why.
We live in a world where abortion is celebrated now more than ever. It used to be, girl, I don't know if you should do that because you're killing a child and he's a great man. And now we're like, just do it. You can just get an abortion, just have your baby with someone else. And I think that also comes down to something with hypergamy, because I think a woman, her biological standards, right? She wants to have babies with a guy she views as an alpha, right? Like a good genetic prospect, I guess you could say. But I don't think she would want to have children with you if she viewed you as less.
Of course.
She would probably say something like, wear protection, make sure you wear a condom, stuff like that.
No, definitely. I mean, it just makes sense. That's called evolution, you can't go backwards.
I think, these days, I think we're trying to deny human nature now more than ever.
Of course, people get emotional about it.
They get very offended.
Yeah, they get,
because they've been sold the other thing. They've been sold lies or illusions that, just because you act a certain way or you do certain things that's going to help you out and that's what makes you. Not really. There's other factors too, It's how you approach things, your finance, your physical. It's a lot of things. But people don't want to see that because they cannot change that or they think they can't,
Oh, yeah.
They think that just for being nice, you can get away with things, but it's not. There's a lot of factors.
Well, I think it's also like egos are being elevated now more than ever, especially with like social media, because you can like post pictures on Instagram and have people sending you money. Like there's one girl from, I don't know if it's Twitch or something. She sold her bath water for like $30. Bath water. And guys were buying it left and right. And she made like a lot of money off of that. That's insane.
It's also really disgusting.
Bath water.
I haven't heard that before.
Yeah, that actually happened. And that's really disgusting, I feel.
One of those anime girls. She was alright. But
I guess
one of those anime girls. I
don't really remember her name.
But it's like a lot of guys are kind of giving up their.
You smell that?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Oh, her name was Belle Daphne. She was a gamer.
Shout out.
One of those gamer girls. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
Great.
Pretty creative. So bad water.
But people buying it.
How many ounces?
Oh, who even fucking cares?
But there was also like that girl there's also a girl who sold nudes and she was able to get money to help the Amazon fires or something.
No. That one I've seen. And everybody's just sharing that too.
But this is the first time in history that a woman can advertise her sexuality like that. And now we're seeing what happens due to that.
Oh yeah, because I mean, we're more physical now than ever. Like back in the day, we didn't have Instagram models or porn stars or anything like that. So we have no, we just see a girl somewhere and kind of just did our own thing, But now there's so many expectations and we're so physical now that's what we're looking for. We're not looking for chemistry or nothing like that. We're just looking for, is she hot? our nudes or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
that's what we're looking for. But back then, I feel like it was more of a connection.
There were
Whether
more...
it made sense or not, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like it was also a lot harder to get like stuff like pornography back then too, because they would have to get it from a porn shop. They would have to get it from like one of those XXX shops that was like a corner store or whatever. But now that we have the internet, we can just go right onto Pornhub.com.
We know what we're looking for now. You know, we have the models that we look for. You know, we have the ideal people that we want. Yeah. But that the chances that you may get one of those, depends. You know.
Well, it's easier these days for a girl to do whatever she wants because number one, she's encouraged by the society, right? They're encouraged to do. You go, girl.
Man and woman.
Men ain't shit. You know, it's okay. You could cheat on your husband. You know, he won't. What is he gonna do? You could just take the kids and file for divorce, and you can get all the money. And these are all conversations that are said. I'm not just pulling this out of my ass.
No, I know that for a fact.
This actually happens. Girls are encouraged to basically screw their men over, and the society is letting them. Right.
Exactly.
Just
because they don't get what they want, you know, they'll be like, "What? He won't do that for you? Just have sex with this guy or somebody else, you know?"
Yeah, just
stuff like that.
Sorry, girl, you can get Brad Pitt if you wanted to, you know. Brad. It's like it's very easy, you know. I think as technology improves, these things are going to get more interesting because we're going to see more stats. Like I think Tinder is one of the ultimate kind of expressions of hypergamy. Because a girl could just swipe right on a guy she thinks she saw. And there was some statistic that said women only swipe on like maybe 10 to 15% of guys on Tinder. And the rest they viewed as unattractive.
So they actually take the time to see his profiles.
Correct.
While most guys are
they just swipe.
You know?
Women usually only swipe on the guy.
That's how the game is.
Exactly. You know? Women usually only... As guys will probably swipe on everybody, women will only swipe on about 15... On, I would say, average 15% of guys, and those are the ones they usually find attractive. It's also true with statistics that a lot less men are having sex today than they were like 20 years ago, compared to women who are having sex just as much. And
I mean, as technology, like you said before, as technology gets better, people using sex. Well, people using technology as sex right now, you know, with everything that's going on with the porn industry. Now, apparently, with the sex robots coming in the future and stuff like that. So that's a whole nother topic, but...
Yeah, they're going to have sex robots.
That's going to be sex. Oh, that's what's going to be considered sex.
And a lot of guys are also giving up. Because you could easily say, okay, well, if women are hypergamous, then why even try? If I'm never going to be that hot guy with six-pack abs that they're going to... But there's so much more to that. There's a lot of buffers.
And then...
Giving up is not the answer.
They usually get feelings for girls that are out of their league. They don't understand how to be logical about it. Like, if I was a 3 or 4, you know, looking guy or whatever, then I would not be looking up yet, like 10s or 8, you know, like 8, 9s, and 10s. I'll be smart and I'll be like, all right, I'm going to stay where I'm around. But a lot of guys don't even do that. They want the best or, you know, or nothing, you know, and they just cry about it. Like, why can't I get... You know, this girl or the other girl. Well, you know, you're just not her type, you know?
Yeah, we make
you're not there yet, you know what I'm saying? Just be, I don't know.
We make our own destiny.
It just makes sense that, you know, go for what you can, you know, but, you know, don't be complaining that you can't get, you know, a certain type of girl. You know, you just gotta, like, kind of be logical about it, you know? Because they're doing it. That's why hypergamy is successful, you know? But guys seem to just, not really understand how it works. You know?
Exactly. Well, hypergamy has always been part of women's nature, but only now and recently has it become a lot more easier for them to express it.
Kind of feel like it was meant to be, right?
Perfect timing.
You know, everything's kind of like coming together, and now we get to see what's gonna happen.
The internet has taught us a lot in the past 20 years, and it showed us a lot more than we could ever known. You know, we're seeing a lot of statistics that we never would have been able to see before. And we're seeing kind of like the pussification of men right now. I guess you could say.
That's a good word.
We're kind of like... That's where the term soy boy comes from. Like, kind of like a pussified man. Because we're kind of told to stand down. Right?
Right. Not being honest.
It seems like masculinity is kind of at an all-time low.
It's toxic.
And there's a lot of guys that are afraid to stand up to the woman. Right? And
little do they know That sometimes is the most attractive thing you can do.
Yeah.
Just standing up for yourself.
The fact is that women hate weak men. They despise them. Their hindbrain knows this. Over time, they know this. And over time, they'll probably use it to their advantage.
They deal with it.
Yeah.
Exactly, just to get advantage of it. You know.
I think what to do about it, basically, I think women want the best of both worlds. They want the hot guy, but they also want the guy that can provide and give shelter to.
Mm-hmm.
So I think,
that's rare.
You could say, how could you, make that happen? Well, I think the answer is to make yourself the best version of yourself. Not allowing disrespect.
Mm-hmm.
I would say set boundaries for other people so nobody will try to what's what I'm looking for. They won't try to
They won't step the line.
Yeah. A woman who looks up to you will not try to compete with you.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, if anything,
she'll try to support you.
She'll support you. She'll compliment your life, and she'll probably like a lot of the same stuff you do. Like I remember
chemistry.
Yeah, it's great chemistry.
Yeah.
But a woman who does not disrespect you through her hypergamous filter, if she sees you as more of a beta, you'll notice by her actions. She will disrespect you more.
The things you like,
yeah,
to disrespect them.
Yeah, she will talk down to you. She will not.
She will convince you to do the opposite of what you're trying to do.
Yeah, she'll tell you that the things you do are worthless and you should give up. They will ask you to do stuff that you don't want to do.
Lose friends so you're alone.
Yeah. They'll also make more rules for you if they do not respect you. For example, we all know the haha moment when you see the note on the wall in the refrigerator that says, rewards for doing the chores, and it'll be like, do the lawn, you get 1 blowjob, or do the dishes, you have sex. If you take care of the kids today, maybe you'll get a hand job, stuff like that. That's also true. That also does happen out there.
Yeah,
it's
no,
crazy.
it does.
Okay, it might not be on the refrigerator hanging, but it might be somewhere. I don't think the kids need to see that.
It'll be one of those conversations, that usually people go over their heads. But yeah, definitely.
And I think a lot of people will be triggered by these ideas because I think whether people acknowledge it or not, I think we see the stuff around us, and a lot of times we ignore it.
I mean, some men like to be told what to do.
There are some
they expect that reward, but they don't know that they're not getting the full potential of that blowjob or that's or that sex.
A woman will give a man she views as an alpha her sexual best. I'm calling it. She'll probably should do whatever you say. If we're being honest here, if she's really into you, she will show you by her actions. And when I say that, you will. Like a girl who views it.
She knows you can leave. You can fuck somebody else.
Yeah, that's kind of.
And she knows you mean that.
Yeah, she knows that you have other options, and she knows that you could leave if you wanted to, and otherwise, and then after when that happens, she'll basically try her best to stay with you. Right.
That works best when you're young.
It does.
It does.
But a lot of times, I even see this around me too. Especially, it happens a lot to couples who have been together for a long time. The women, over time, they see them as less value men, and they start treating them a little different over the years. Yeah, and it could take years, It doesn't. I'm not saying
the most alpha guy, but you put him on the leash for a certain amount of time, he stops barking. He eats his food, no complaints.
Yeah,
he's good.
Over the time, the sex is not as good, and the couple start to get unhappy. And sometimes, unfortunately, people may cheat. Or they may have affairs
out of adventure, and
because they want that.
But
they want that.
But that's normal, having sex with the same person over the years is gonna get boring. That's just how it is.
From an evolutionary standpoint, I do not think, as far as I know, there is no evidence to support that we are a monogamous species. And if I'm wrong, correct me. But I think that we're not naturally monogamous.
We're not.
Right?
I mean, it's a concept, and it's for a structure. That's how it works. It's a structure just to make it easier.
The other thing that's kind of being pushed is that men and women are equal. My thoughts on that is that we're complements to each other. It's not about equality. It's about complementary. And that's rooted in the fact that men and women are different.
Exactly. Like you said before, you have to understand that you can't let your ego take over that fact that we're complements to each other. There's things that men do better usually, and there's things that women do better usually, and that's just how it is.
Yeah.
You know, but
that's like the point.
that is the whole point.
That is the
just
whole
to
point.
accept.
Yeah.
You know, but
women are good at things that they're good at, and men are good at things that they're good at.
Exactly.
And together, they're good at a structure of things.
And that's thinking of the whole concept, you know. But
an example of how they're not different is that I think that, for example, if a girl sends nudes and a guy automatically gets like, he automatically gets excited from them, right? That's kind of how we are, right? Because we could just pop up whenever we want. Women are not like that, although some guys would like to think that they are. So when guys send dick pics or stuff like that,
randomly,
it's different because women don't get aroused like that from seeing a picture like that we do, and guys I think send those kind of pictures thinking that because we're equals, she will immediately get aroused as I will, and that's not true often.
That's funny you say that because today at work actually, I was just talking to a random girl that I always kind of like flirt around and stuff like that, and she said at least something good about you is that you don't send dick pics without me asking. So you know for a fact that she's getting dick pics, and clearly she's not being satisfied
she's not
by
impressed.
those pictures.
Well,
you know, so I'm more attracted by not doing anything. So
sometimes doing nothing is actually the most attractive. Well,
I feel like guys that just send them without like saying anything or like
right.
They just send them like that without them really wanting it. It actually turns them off a lot. I feel like good 80% of the time it just turns the women off.
It will, because women know that they can now they can get this guy. They know they can
exactly.
get him easily.
He's trying to sell himself.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
When a woman does that, it's attractive. You're like, all right, she's submitting. Like, she wants me. You know what I'm saying? But when you do it like that, for her, it's just like, all right, like he ain't got nothing better to do than the same
exactly.
things, you know.
But guys send those because they think that because we're equal, that she will respond in the same way that he would if he got nudes, and that's false.
Work like that.
It doesn't work. To tell guys that might, kind of piss them off. But I don't see any girl getting like, oh my god, dick pic. Oh, immediately horny. Yep. Mm-hmm. Oh, that sounds like something. I don't see that.
No, not at all.
Because the fact that we're different is not a bad thing, and it's a good thing because that's how we've survived as long as we have.
Just respect that and just work on yourself. That's all you can do, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I think as a man, the best thing you can do is be the best version of yourself. Obviously, right? Go to the gym, eat healthy. We always talk about nutrition, but it's part of it.
Yeah, always a part of it.
Like in general, as a human being, the best thing you can do is take care of yourself. That way, the
no
people around your circle, they can benefit out of that too, you know.
Yeah, no matter
if
what
everybody's
gender,
doing good,
race,
exactly.
Whatever.
Now that is equal. Just everybody work on themselves and just try to be better, you know. That's
It's important to think of yourself as kind of a work in progress. Like the journey never ends, and you should not have to. If you like look around you and see this kind of stuff happening, I don't think you should get bummed out about it. I think you should use it to your advantage.
Understand it, right?
You should understand it and try to
adapt.
You should try to see and observe human behavior for what it is, not for what you want it to be.
Right, exactly, and just learn from it and don't put your own ego into things. Some things are not fair for some. Just work the best you can do.
Exactly.
That's all you can do, right?
I mean, yeah.
You can pretend, look at others, be like, oh, why is this guy doing this or why is she doing this? But at the end of the day, you gotta work. You gotta still do your best for yourself, or just cry about it and do nothing. That's how I feel about it.
That's like when women wonder how come men can easily have more casual sex and they're okay with it rather than girls. That's because we're different. Girls are better, at kind of like, they don't really want to go jumping from dick to dick. They don't really want to. I think they'd rather be with a man they view as successful.
Even when they do that, I feel like it's more like there's a story behind it. Like they're trying to get like
validation,
or something, or they're trying to they have their own story. They're not doing it for the physical, just dick from dick. It's just like there's gotta be a story behind it, And then they use that as their motivation, not you, like that. So that's how I feel about it.
That makes sense. I mean, it's kind of, I think we have to accept kind of human behavior more, right? And I think it's always important to question why we do what we do.
Yeah.
Because there is answers. and
Right.
a lot of it is in our biology itself.
But then what would you say about certain things that, like you said, it just makes no sense, like certain promotions on the media, and encouraging equality when like you said, with compliments. How do you react to that? Just
Well, it's like when you look at the media, you never see on any commercial you never see the word complimentary.
of course.
And on social media, girls thrive off the attention, right? Off pictures, and they love it, right? So, and when girls get thousands of millions of likes on these pictures, it kind of boosts their ego, right?
Mm-hmm.
And media like that kind of it gives them like this incentive, like you could have whatever man you want. You don't have to be with just one guy. You can live the life the way you want. You can live the life like a man does. And when they are being taught this from an early age, by their teachers, by their parents, families, friends, all these areas of life, when they're taught this, it kind of conditions them in a way. And if the media and every TV show and every movie portrays men as weak, and the female usually overpowers the guy, and if you see kind of stuff like that, if you're raised on that kind of stuff, you basically kind of like get that mentality that I'm better than men. It could be like that, or it could be like they don't see like the value as a woman, right? They
don't see that aspect of feminine kind of like aspect
because
of it.
I personally think that feminine energy is the most beautiful thing in the world. It really is. A truly masculine man and a truly feminine woman make the best couples, and you could see this in history. It's just not me talking about ass. It's true.
No, definitely.
The happiest couples that I know are ones that maintain the sexual polarity, in which case the man acts like a masculine man and a woman acts like a feminine woman. In my own household, my dad I would categorize him as an alpha. Definitely. He runs the house pretty well. What he says goes. And my mom follows him completely. And they are extremely happy in their marriage.
Right.
And in the house.
And it works for them.
It works greatly. They're a good team. Because they both know, what they give to the table.
They trust each other.
And my dad has his boundaries. And my mom follows his boundaries. And she respects him. In fact, she's still, to this day, she's very attracted to him, and it works out for them. And in that, it creates a healthy household, which I believe, I consider myself, a healthy male, because I was raised in a healthy household, right? But if women are encouraged by the media and by their friends, by their teachers, to be manless, I guess I'll call it, a lot of times this results in, I guess, single motherhood, broken families. If women do not respect men, or vice versa, I think it creates a lot of households in which case boys and girls grow up with only one mom or one, like a dad, like not both.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
I can vouch for that because I come from a single parent family. I lived with my mom back when I was like younger, and definitely coming from a broken family, the chances for you to not be doing as well as in life are high. Because I remember I was very overweight, and my mentality was not of like what to get out of life, more like just going with it or doing bad things just to cope with life itself. But for me, I'm just thankful that I was able to research and try to understand how kind of things work, and I still do that to this day. So I was able to, try to help myself and do what I gotta do. But a lot of people don't do that as well, and they're, influenced by other friends who come from single parents family and stuff like that. So, like you said, it's very hard when you don't know how things could be. You never get to experience that. So when they get into relationships, they follow the same pattern as their parents, and then they end up the same. You see that all the time. But if you have a understanding and you see it and it works for yourself and others, then definitely you do. You'll follow what and then you can make you can promote that to your family as you get older, all the people around you, friends. Knowledge is very powerful. So people that understand hypergamy and the male strategies should be able to understand this and see how they can impact that to other people as well, and that's how you promote, positivity and just common sense.
Exactly. What are some of your thoughts on this?
Like I come from a healthy household, so like
Yeah.
my dad's the man,
Yeah, I know your parents personally, and I could tell, like, in your house, like, your dad is kind of like, I guess in a way, the law, and your mom seems to follow him.
Yeah.
Right, and your parents, I will vouch for that.
They're
very healthy.
They're very
right?
complementary to each other
Yeah.
as well. She has a lot of good strengths, and that helps him be more powerful
Right.
in that sense. And so, like, I try to follow that. I've seen in a lot of different households that are very broken, and the people within them, they can't help but to become that what their parents were. You know what I mean?
Right.
And like I've seen a lot of people go through coping by like using drugs and stuff, and then they just and they feel like it's their fault when they had nothing. When technically they didn't really have anything to do with it in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
And so they always try to put it upon themselves, and then when they get into a relationship, they always want to make themselves feel as the victim, and so it hurts them in a sense, and it makes it worse. And it makes it worse on the relationships and stuff. You know what I mean?
Do you see this stuff around you?
I see it. I've seen it for a long time, but I've never put it
words
into like I've seen it forever, but like I've never actually been able to put into words until most recently. So I've always just had it cataloged in the confines of my brain.
It really is. It could be a lot to digest, and it can cause some people to really question their lives, and it could really put them down.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the best thing, if you learn about topics like hypergamy,
suck it up.
Yeah, we'll suck it up. I think the answer is not to go down a deep dark hole and just go into isolation or something like that. I think the best thing you can do with information and topics like this is to use it to your advantage the best you can. Right? You want to make the best out of it. I think that, and what that means is you should be better every day. You should make changes, and you should live for yourself. For no woman, or for women, don't live for anyone but yourself.
Yeah,
right.
You don't have to listen to the media or what other people tell you, but you should be able to think for yourself and stuff like that. And people will also go with it. But you want to make the best of anything that you can, and you don't want to be taken for granted. And you should try to find healthy relationships, and people should recognize stuff like this. I think it's important to observe and look around you and see what's really going on. Also, people ask, if women's hypergamy is alpha fucks and beta bucks, alpha C, beta need, what do you want to call it? What is men's hypergamy? The answer to that is unlimited access to unlimited sexuality. Pretty much, because I believe in our evolutionary past, that's kind of how we were able to survive, right? I mean, in tribes, we had to kind of impregnate whoever we could, right, to have our species continue.
Yeah.
I think in history, if we seen with like kings, a lot of kings have never had only one wife. They've kind of had whatever they want.
They had multiple wives with multiple kids with each.
Even while I do think marriage is a great concept, I just don't agree with how we do it today. I think marriage has not always been what it is. Like, it was invented by somebody, sometime, and before that, I think it was kind of more primal. It was different. We've kind of put.
What do you mean by primal?
Well, like
more like original, more.
Yeah, like
more
before, like the church and like stuff, when we were just like tribes, right? Just trying to survive.
Be together, stay together. Yeah, that's marriage. Just.
Yeah, because I feel like back then, like, everyone knew, like, this one was with him. It was official. She was with this, and like, there was no ring to put on it. It was just they knew because that she was with him. And, all that stuff. Yeah, and he was leading her.
And people will ask, well, why is women's hypergamy and men's hypergamy different? And the answer to that is because men and women are different. And once again, it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing, if anything. Well, it is a good thing. It has
to be. There's no other way.
Yeah, it's just how it is.
It's good for some people and it's bad for some people. That's just how it is.
Yeah. Tis life, honestly.
Don't reject reality. Embrace it. Use it to your advantage.
there's always somebody worse than you.
Yeah. There's always somebody
In
better,
the ladder.
worse off than you.
That's the one way to think
I
about
just
it.
think that the conditioning that we're getting from higher ups in our life and how we're being taught, how we're teaching the children these days, we're sending them these messages that kind of try to go against human biology and against human nature. I don't think that's the best way to go.
Say some examples. What do you mean, the messages?
Like, I think we should allow women to be feminine and men to be masculine, right? And kind of, that's why I don't like when, like, there was that thing with Andrew Yang when he was, that was on Twitter I saw, and his wife was saying that it's great that my husband is running for president and all this stuff. She was like, I'm very happy that I let him run for president. That's kind of, that's an example of conditioning that women are taught, that they're supposedly in control, kind of, and to let men lead is a gift. When in reality, I think women would be happy to let a man lead. It's not about letting him do something. It's about wanting.
It's about him doing it and you supporting him for it.
Right.
Yeah, and you actually falling in love.
Leave.
And you actually falling in love with that man for being the high value man that you see who he is.
And I feel like there's nothing wrong with about you supporting somebody. Like I feel like when people say that, oh yeah, my husband's doing this, and like and they feel like it's like in such a negative light, but I feel like it's not. I feel like he's doing what he's supposed to do, right? He wants to run for president, he's gonna do it, right? He should go to her and be like, I'm running for president,
with you or without you, and
she should say, I will support you. I'm here for the long run, and that's how it's got to be.
Right.
And you also have like it's like the guy who,
if it makes sense.
Yeah. It's like guys who will go to a different college because that's what their girlfriend is, or they will like if they want to go to like get a master's degree in some college somewhere, and their girlfriend says, "Oh, I don't want you to do that because it might take us more apart," and that guy complies and he does what she wants. That's kind of proving to her that you might not be the high value man, because it could be a shit test and you failed that royally if you decide not to go to that cause that you want to do. If you let the opposite sex, this goes for either gender, if you let the opposite sex hold you back for what you are, for what you want to do, I think that's not good.
It's going to come back to you, and you're going to have your own regrets in life.
If you stay with someone that does not view you as,
she's gonna know too.
Yeah, if a woman stays with a man that she values as less than her, it will cause problems. And same with guys. If you're not happy, don't be in an exclusive relationship.
Yeah, right. Just be honest. You'll find somebody that's willing to do whatever relationship you want to do.
Sometimes, some people just don't match, and that's okay.
That's how you learn. You will learn really fast. So
every woman has, and every man. Well, I'll say this: every woman has different hypergamy standards. It's different for everybody. Attraction is not a choice. Some women will be into you and some women will not. So if you're dating someone and they're not into you, or you get rejected, that's okay. You could move on to somebody else. It's not the end of the world. I think when we get into the scarcity mentality, that's when things really go sideways, and it causes a lot of problems, especially in the mind.
No, yeah, people get desperate, but
you need to view yourself as a high value person, and you'll get high value results.
Back in the day, one guy could have only one girl for his whole life, but he won't be as desperate, I think, as a guy now. If he will find out that he only gonna get one girl, he'll be truly upset.
Women love men who go after their purpose in life and who respect themselves and them as well. This is just so when you give in to demands or you try to negotiate her desire for you, that's when you will find unflattering results.
Yeah. I mean, if she knows you're smart and you're able to get away with things, and you follow your own instincts and you're good with it, and that's what she follows. She knows that 9 out of 10 times you're gonna do good. And when you fail, at least you'll be able to learn from that and come back at it and be better.
Exactly.
Because a lot of people these days don't really focus on failure, or they see it as a negative. Like, that's only a step if you let it,
Yeah, I mean,
failure is the greatest teacher.
Exactly. I mean, like there are some girls who will have sex with you on the first date.
Yeah.
And then there are some girls who will make you wait. But
it's all a strategy.
Well, here's my question to the viewer: Why would she make you wait?
I mean, there's a lot of scenarios.
There's different buffers, but
there's different things, like if she's
We
super
can mention
religious.
some, we can mention
Like if
some.
she's super
We can do
religious
anything we
and
want.
is like in one of those families where it's like, yeah, you're not allowed to have sex until you're married or whatever, and she complies with that.
That's one.
That is a big one. I feel.
Conditioning, it's a lot, especially religious conditioning, like no sex before marriage. But I think there's a lot of people that experience this as well. If a woman is really into you and she's really feeling it, she will have sex with you on the first date. Compared to some guys, well, she will not.
But again, though, what if in the first day or second day you don't get sex, but you get other forms of
Pleasure.
Exactly. How does that count then?
Would you?
How do you measure that?
I think if you enjoy her company, obviously you bond. You see reasons to, obviously you want to see her again, right? But in some cases, if you do not want to bond or you really don't see anything in common with that person and there's just nothing really, you don't really find any satisfaction in anything, then just move on.
Right. Or if you find that something is not right, like you said, like the waiting. If you can find out that the waiting is in a negative aspect, then you can be like, okay, this is kind of weird.
Well, it's like if you go on 5 dates with a girl, right? Even if you go back to your house, nothing happens. But then she texts some hot guy, some dirty things.
You will know that though.
Well, you probably won't know that. Well,
you will definitely not know that.
Hypothetically, if she is, I think it's very important to look at people's behaviors. It will tell them everything you need to know. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, actually, all the time, it's important to look at what people do, not what they say.
Definitely.
So if your girl tells you, just an example, if your girl tells you stories of how she's had sex on the first date and she's done some crazy things in her past, but then she'll make you wait and then she will not give you that desire.
If told you that, if she told you that before you even have sex with her, there's no respect, man. Her telling you about her past life.
Well, a lot of the times guys ask.
On the first
guys also ask.
True.
They're also that's
they
not smart.
Guys panic, right?
Yeah, it's really smart.
Like, well, you're still a virgin, right?
You think that? Well, actually, of course.
That does happen.
Yeah. It just seems unreal, but.
Oh, like how many guys have you been with? Or a girl will ask a guy, how many guys have you been with? And it's like, and then if they tell each other their pasts, they expect their sexual best, right? But sometimes you do not get their sexual best. Sometimes they've hit a point in their life where they don't want to be that kind of person anymore.
Right. I mean, it's, like you said, so many different outcomes.
I think it's important. What you can do, another solution is find someone who truly values you. And you can tell if they value you by their behavior. Mm-hmm. And this goes for men and women.
So. And by your own behavior, because you're making yourself valuable, so then she has no other option.
You should be able to know. Yeah, you should be able to know if you like someone or not. Also, there's a lot of words that I have not even heard of between the last 2 years, like words like misogynist or incel.
Me neither.
I have only heard these words being spoken the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm. I would say for me, the last 3 years, 4 years.
And just because we talk about things like this, I think there would be some people out there that may say, "Oh, well, they just hate women." And no, I am talking about what I see.
Us?
It could be also anyone that kind of dares to talk about these things, because I bring this topic up because this is a topic that no one around me has ever talked about, and I think topics like this should be discussed and should be. There should be ideas like this that are being bounced back and forth.
No,
we should understand these kind of concepts. The reason we're doing this in the first place is because of that fact.
Yeah. No, I feel like there's this idea, maybe it could be me, but there's this idea that if you research this type of stuff and trying to get to understand, how do you call that, behaviors between humans, then you're just being weird or
yeah, there's a stigma that if you try to look for answers, you're kind of weird.
Right, exactly, and that's why people don't even do that.
I feel like what's so wrong with finding knowledge? I feel like nowadays everyone puts school in such a dark light, where school is the foundation for us to find this knowledge in the first place.
Right, if you do, you're a freaking nerd. They'll bully you.
Yeah.
So same concept. I feel like.
Well, I noticed this kind of stuff because I as I was hanging out with a couple of friends once, I brought up this kind of topic. I didn't say the word hypergamy, but I brought up similar ideas to this. They were ideas. They were not necessarily saying, "Oh, this is how it is." And I was called a misogynist by a friend.
I know that.
Yeah, and I was kind of confused because I've never been called that before, and I was like, that was the moment that I realized that talking about this kind of stuff will get you labeled as such. And for everyone who does not know, a misogynist is someone who hates women.
Mm-hmm.
And I do not hate women. I really do not. Trust me, I don't.
Right.
In fact, I love them, and I love the energy that a truly feminine woman brings to the table. I think, as I said before, it's one of the most beautiful things.
Yeah.
And it's something to be cherished, I think, I appreciate a woman who appreciates me.
Yeah, I bet she does too, so.
Yeah. And I respect myself, and if you respect yourself, they will respect you. If you do not respect yourself, and this goes for men and women. If you do not respect yourself, no one else will respect you like that.
But you see, the thing is that that works out for you, but when you put it into words to others, they view you as a misogynist because they don't understand that themselves. You know, and they think that you're fooling her, or that you're taking advantage of her with your way of thinking. But little do you know that she is the happiest person right now at the moment because she's with you.
Yeah.
So she's probably doing better at work with her family.
Exactly.
Because you're both complementing each other's, energy.
When a woman is in her feminine and she's in the presence of a truly, not faking it, truly masculine man. Yeah, she's actually very happy. And I've seen this. I've experienced it. Yeah, she glows. She tells all her girlfriends, "Oh my God, I had this great time last night. It was, I didn't see it. It was so romantic. I didn't see it. All this stuff." But they do respect it and they love it.
Yeah, that's what they want.
When a woman is in the presence of a truly dominant masculine man, they love it. That's when she truly sees you as quote unquote alpha, so to speak. And being, when I was telling you about that story of being called misogynist at one time, I really did realize that talking about this stuff will raise eyebrows. You'll get questioned.
You probably said it in the most logical way, and that's why you came up as a misogynist.
Yeah.
But if you would have said it in a different way, poetry type of way, they'll be like, all right, maybe.
Yeah, people will think.
I don't know if that makes sense. What I'm trying to tell you, right? You're trying to you go straight to the point. Yeah, there could have been tell it how it is.
Yeah, there could have been a different outcome possibly.
Right.
I guess it would all depend.
I'm the kind of guy that likes to say his thoughts, and sometimes people will not take those thoughts very well.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately,
and that's okay.
Women will take the heat. Guys and girls, I guess. Everyone will. If you talk about stuff like this, they'll take it as like if you say something like men and women are not equal to compliments, they'll say, "Oh, well, you hate women then." That's not, dude.
This is literally we didn't even say that.
Missing the point.
Yeah,
completely. It's not about that.
Mm-hmm.
And
they don't want to know, man.
I can vouch that this stuff works because my own parents are a great example of this. In my own house, I see this. My dad provides for my mom and provides for all of us and everything, and so you could categorize that as beta bucks. But at the same time, my mom extremely, very
She's
much
to him.
Yeah, respects him. Is always supportive of his mission, of his jobs that he does different things. And is always there for him when he needs it, right? There would never be any talk about divorce.
That's a big word,
right?
respect. She
big
respect.
Him, yeah. So I think it's important to understand these kind of concepts and understand that behavior matters, what you do matters, and as men, I think we have a burden of performance. So it's not only that we're expected. I think we always want to be conquering goals in our life
for ourselves.
Making ourselves better because as you make yourself better. And you put yourself first, women will respond to that in a positive way.
Well, you'll be able to have more resources.
Yeah.
Whether it be financially, physically, it's
exactly.
There.
And if someone is not down on your mission with you, if they are not supportive of your goals and dreams, then they're not the one for you. That's just a harsh fact. So anyone who has like crazy one-nightist feelings for someone and they don't respect them or they're not supportive of your mission, that may have to mean that you might have to find someone else. And I know it does suck. It hurts, and it may be time consuming, and it may be some time I'm not gonna say time wasted. It'll be time used up, but it's just the reality of it.
No, that's the option. Or keep crying.
You can keep crying, or you can take action, do something about it.
That pretty much.
I'm just happy that I have someone that is okay with my mission. Like I'll sleep at her house or whatever after work, and then like we got the gym in the morning. And she gets so upset that I gotta leave, but I'm like, I gotta go.
See now what
Gotta get myself.
Valid
She knows.
exercise,
She knows that. She knows I gotta do what I gotta do.
Mhm.
exactly. Well, the
She-
thing is, you go to the gym and you fulfill your purpose, and you got to gain muscles and burn some fat and do the right thing. And hang out with your boys in the morning, 6 a.m. Not easy workout to do. And what you could do is you could say, you know what, baby, you're right. I don't need to go to the gym. I could just cuddle here with you. And now when that happens, what you think will happen is that she'll be like, but over time, she will not respect you as well as if you did leave.
Oh, no, definitely.
Please stay in the bed. I just want to cuddle, No, I got to go to the gym, but I got to do what I got to do.
Mm-hmm.
Just like we said.
Yeah.
And when you do that, she gains a certain amount of respect for you. Of course, she might not tell you, oh, God, I really respect what you just did. She's not going to tell you that.
No.
Yeah,
I mean, if she will, oh, my God, okay. All right, sure. But her hindbrain sees you as the man on a mission, and that will cause a higher dosage of respect compared to if you would have just stayed home and not went to the gym and just, I'll just do what she wants.
Right.
Because that'll make her happy. In the long term, it could equal some very unpleasant truths.
Exactly. That's
You need
how
to
it
live your life and pursue your goals and do what you have to do as a man.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do that, she will respect you and she will, support you. And if she does not, that demonstrates a lot more in her behavior, and it will demonstrate a lot more how she feels about you than you think. In which case, sometimes you have to let it go.
Exactly.
Unfortunately.
And if she support you from the beginning, and then throughout the time she doesn't, then you gotta understand yourself and see what you're doing as a person.
Yeah.
You have to
try
figure out
get
what
that
you went
knowledge.
wrong.
Yeah.
You sometimes you have
That's
to look
something
at,
that happens all the time.
Sometimes you have to look in the mirror and diagnose what are you doing,
Mm-hmm.
or what how
analyze.
how could you improve from the day before.
That's right.
Any other thoughts?
I mean, not really. Like we went through a lot of great things. Like just men and women being complementary is very solid. It's solid in our nature, and I feel like the media and everyone trying to say that that's not true is just lying to everybody, and that we can't just hide from just the plain fact.
Reality, right? Even if
The
they're trying to be
reality.
nice, they think that just from hiding it that it's better for us, but it's really not throwing things backwards.
It's hurting everybody.
Yeah.
And I feel like just that in itself is alarming.
Mm-hmm.
Like we need to know that we are complementary to each other. They're good at things. We can't tell them that they're not good at things.
Right.
Because they are good at some things. They're good at some things that we're not good at. But that's perfectly fine because we're good at these things, and that's okay. They may not be good at those things, but they support us with what we do.
Right.
And if they want to do things, we support them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a back and forth. It's a yin and yang. They're together.
Right.
That complement each other, and that's what it is, and that's what people should follow. I don't understand why people just don't want people to do that.
It's because they want to try something new, and this is a new trendy thing going on. So it's gonna go for a few years until they realize it's boring it's boring and inefficient. So they go back to the old ways because it'll be the new way, So
yeah. I also say that perfect is boring. I think you always need to be spicing it up and kind of proving that you are, like, what's what I'm looking for? You're that guy.
Unpredictable.
You are that unpredictable guy that any day some crazy stuff could happen and it will be a great day.
Interesting. You're just interesting.
Be an interesting
James
guy.
Bond.
Yeah.
Bond.
Just like Bond. James Bond.
That's right.
Basically my closing thoughts from what I see in the world right now. The most healthiest things I see is when men and women are complements to each other. When a woman's hypergamous filters are fulfilled, that's when she's the most happiest.
Right.
When she combines the alpha fucks and the beta fucks together is when I see the healthiest relationships. When a guy takes charge of his relationship and shows that he is a strong man, and she will love him for that.
Exactly.
That's how
in order to be an alpha fuck and a beta need combination, you have to be smart. So you need to know your information. So that's why knowledge, again, is power.
Yeah. Plus, you should also look at behaviors, and you should always be observing around you and learn from that.
I feel like a lot of alpha folks, like you say, when they get into those relationships, they turn into the other spectrum completely. You know, but if you have that information that you do gotta keep up taking care of yourself and acting in a way that nobody steps over you, or like you have your own respect towards yourself, then you have that balance. But if you don't know that, you may turn into that beta buck and not even realize it throughout the years.
Yeah, over time.
You're in the worst point that you started.
Exactly. Over time, you could start as that alpha, and slowly over time, you turn to that beta that does whatever she wants, and she over time slowly loses respect for you.
That's exactly what I'm saying. So.
Or sometimes when like relationships go for years, and a guy tries to start acting more alpha, quote unquote, she doesn't believe him because her hindbrain already sees him as a beta.
Right.
So sometimes it may be too late.
It may be too late. So the best thing I will advise would be just to get out of that relationship and to give her that feeling that you really are about it, that you're just not acting up. And just, if she wants you back, if you want her back after.
Do you even want her back?
Exactly. You would just get out if you're not in a relationship where you're not being respected to both parties. You know, if as a woman you don't feel respected by your man, then just be honest and leave. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, same way goes for the other person.
Yeah.
It's all about respect.
It's not about hating any of the genders or anything. It's about understanding human nature and trying to see what we can do to improve ourselves, which is what the channel is all about.
Yeah.
Adaptability.
Yeah. Can we adapt? Can we become better?
I think so.
I know.
We must.
I think we're becoming better every day. At least we're trying. You know.
That's what matters. So you have no regrets. You're trying your best. You know?
Yeah, every day.
That sums up pretty much our talk on hypergamy. And if you guys like this kind of stuff, and you have some thoughts of your own on this topic and some ideas you would like to tell us about, let us know. Yeah, talk about it. Let us know in the comments below and let us see what you think about it, and maybe we can get some good open discussions about this.
Yeah, we can definitely respond to anybody that
give us questions, give us ideas.
Yeah, we can definitely respond. We can even do videos upon your questions. I would like to do that
I think these are very interesting topics about this kind of stuff, and I think a lot of people have a lot of questions. And I think a lot of people want to know more.
Somebody has questions for a fact,
Yeah. So definitely check out, our more videos and like and subscribe if you like it.
Yes.
And
also check out allgainsapparel.com if you like to support us. Go to allgainsapparel.com. Use the code
Literally.
podcast10 for 10% off on all of our apparel on there, and definitely share this podcast. Get more people to listen to it. I feel like it's a very good time for people to
expand your
start
vocabulary for people that they know hypergamy now.
Yeah. Now you know hypergamy, misogynist.
And so.
Yeah. Yeah, like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.
Yes, we'll see you soon.